Hey kids! Yay! Today is so exciting because I don't know why, but lesson 13, when we start multiplying unit fractions or fraction by fraction, it's like my favorite part of the year. I don't know why it's so much fun. I think for me when I was young, it was like, I finally know how to do something. Yay, it's so easy. So I hope you find multiplying these fractions as easy as I do. I will try to make it easy for you so that you can see it on the model. So check out our objective. It's multiplying a unit fraction by a unit fraction. This is the way I write it, and then I go and I check and see what the book has, and it's like, oh, fancy words, always fancy words. What does unit mean? I half the time I don't even know, so I have to try to figure it out. I think it just means when it's one, like 1/2 times 1/2, because the next lesson, 14, has multiplying unit fractions by non-unit fractions, and that's when we're going to get into like 3/4 of this, and so you have different numerators. So units, I think that means 1. So anyway, just to review, factor times factor equals product. You have to know these words. You must know these words. If you don't know them, please put them on a flashcard. For example, we're going to be multiplying things. If you have 2 cookies to each of your 2 friends, you're going to need 4 cookies to give to your friends. Let's move this into fewer items. If I have 1 cookie divided by 2 people, we know that that's going to give us half a cookie per person. So what if I don't have, if I have fractions that I'm not using whole numbers anymore? So let's say I have a half of a lasagna pan. And remember that this can be a multiplication sign. A dot can be multiply. And I'm going to multiply that 4 times. 4 is a whole number when it's over 1. So if I have half 4 times, then if I was to multiply across, 1 times 4 I get 4, 2 times 1 is 2, then you get this simple division problem. 4 divided by 2 is 2. I have 2 whole pans. So that's all just to kind of prepare you and say, hey, we've done this. Understand what the math is showing you. Today we're going to take a fraction of a fraction. And so you're going to end up with an even smaller piece. And so it's important to think about the size of the things you're dealing with. If I only have a half to start with and I take a half of the half, it makes sense that I would end up with a fourth. What if I have a half and I take an eighth of that? Again, this is a multiplication sign. A dot means multiply. So the fun way to do it, 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 8 is 16. If I take 1/3 of a half, then I get 1/6. 1 times 1 is 1, 3 times 2 is 6. What if I take a fifth of a half? 1 times 1 is 1, 5 times 2 is 10. So it's really fun and easy because multiplication is straight across. So the problems that we get today are in large part about crispy rice treats. Yay, we love the food problems. It just makes us want a snack though. So Jan has 4 pans of crispy rice treats. 4 pans, that's 4 whole pans. That's like this number. She sends half the pans to school with her kids. How many pans does she send to school? Well, it starts out pretty easy. If I have half of 4, then 2 pans go to school. So what if she sends half of 2 pans? What if this is 2? Well, half of 2 is 1. Now what if she sends half of 1? Well, that would be a half a pan. So then we start making models that can define what's being sent. And if this whole tape diagram represents 1 pan, half is going to be what goes. So here's today's concept, half of a half. So we're going to do a cool drawing activity to kind of show what that looks like. And we're going to do half and then shade it in one direction and then cut it in half again and go the other way. And so the crisscross or the crosshatch is going to be where your answer lies. So it's half of the half. So when we make the models, you'll see that's how that works. So another one. This would be like taking half of a third. And again, here of is shown with the dot for multiplication. So if I start out with a third, that's going to be this area model box, you make 3 pieces, shade one of them going one direction. If you take half of the third, then we're going to do that other direction. This goes back, way back to like, I don't know, module 1 or 2. And you'd have the opposite where we did the vertical lines, then the horizontal lines. We're going to go back to that method. And then when you make that line that goes all the way across to create the whole number of pieces that you have, this is the whole number. This is your denominator. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 denominator. But how many? It's going to be the only square where you have that double crisscross. Okay? Another example is if she has a third of a pan, here's another model, shade 1/3, and she's going to take 1/4 of it. For the model, you go fourths horizontally, okay? And this is all the lasagna or the crispy rice treats that we had, and we take 1/4 of it. And again, you're just multiplying across. You probably will have to use or identify or show or figure out a model, so you do need to understand how to do this. But when in doubt, multiply it out. Just multiply straight across. That will always give you your answer. Okay, so hopefully that was useful. And let's get into the book, because it's really just kind of a quick and awesome lesson. It's so much fun, seriously. So solve. Draw a rectangular fraction model, like an area model, to show your thinking. Then write a multiplication sentence. That means with the equal sign and the answer. Okay, the first one has been done for you. Half of 1/4 pan of brownies equals 1/8. So you have to start out with what they give you. I have 1/4 of a pan. You don't have half the pan. You only have a quarter. You're taking half of that. Now, when you multiply it out, you're always going to get the same answer. But if you had to represent it in a model, and if you mess these up, that part would be wrong. So that would be like the 2-part question. If you get this right, you get 1 part. 1 point, but if you get the model wrong, you just need to understand what they're trying to show you. So first of all, you have 1/4 of a pan of brownies, so make 4 vertical sections. This one would be the right way shading, okay? This part would be the left or waffle shading. In the book, they do this kind of double shade over shade, which it's probably too hard for them to print the waffle, but whenever we do the models, we always do the crisscross crosshatch for our double area. So let's get into it and I'll show you how. All right, so half of 1/3 of a pan of brownies. So how much do I have? I have 1/3 of a pan. Make a model. Shade it this way. Okay, I have 1/3 of a pan and I need to take half of that. Okay, so we're going to cut that this way. Now, if you want, it doesn't matter if you shade the top or the bottom. Notice that if I shade the whole thing, unlike them, they're only shading this one section. The only place where, I'm going to get a different colored pen, the only place where it really makes a difference, where it's double crisscrossed, is right here. So if you look, you could guess it's going to be 1 out of 6. Now let's do this mathematically. Half of 1/3 equals 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 3 is 6. So you can see it, you can model it, and this is your answer. Isn't that fun? I just think that's so fun. I don't know why. It's awesome. It's awesomeness. Okay, 1/4 of 1/3 of pan of brownies equals how much? And yeah, you can write this up here, or if you forget, it's not the end of the world. 1/4 of 1/3. I need 1/3 of a pan of brownies again. Okay, and I need to take 1/4 of it this time. So 1/4 means you need 4 sections going horizontally. This is your fraction of what you have. This is what you have. This is what you're taking. So I'm going to take 1/4 of that. Okay, now I haven't shaded it yet. I'm only shading one of the fourths. So only shade one of them. If you shade one here or one here, that's totally fine. It doesn't matter which one you shade, you're just shading one. What you're going to end up with is only one of those pieces out of 12 that is double shaded or crisscross. Okay, let's do another one. 1/4 of 1/4. So make your model. Okay, now, again, this is what I have. I'm starting with that second one. I know a lot of people want to start here, but that's not what they're saying. Okay, I have 1/4, and I'm going to take 1/4 of the 4th. So make fourths horizontally. Do your opposite shading. Multiply it out. And you get 1/16. Again, you can count all the pieces, 4, 8, 12, 16. There are 16 total pieces, and the size that I have is 1/16 of the whole pan. Okay, so 1/16. Half of 1/6. If I have 1/6, then I'm going to make thirds on the left and thirds on the right. Okay, now I have 1/6. Shade vertically, 1 out of 6 pieces. Horizontally, divided into 2 pieces. This number tells you how many pieces to make. Opposite shading. I tend to do the top piece. They like to do the bottom. I don't know why. It doesn't matter. Choose one, do the opposite shading, and again, this is the answer here, this is the answer here. How many pieces total? Well, if I had 6 before and then I doubled it, it's going to be 12. Half of 1/6 equals 1/12. 1 out of 12. So awesomeness, right? So cool. Back of the page. Okay. Draw rectangular fraction models of 3 times 1/4 and 1/3 of 1/4. All right, let's first do this one. Let's make 1/4 3 times. Okay, now this is 3 times 1/4. So I have, sorry, I should move that down. So I have 3 times 1/4, which is really 3/1 times 1/4. When you multiply it across, you get 3/4, right? Okay, so you're going to model this. And that makes the 3/4. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Now this is not 3. This is 1/3. If it was 3, the 3 would be on top. Okay, that's what a whole number 3 looks like. This is what 1/3 looks like. The model of 1/4 would be like so. Okay, but I need to take 1/3 of that. Taking 1/3 means, again, the denominator number of parts, make 3 sections horizontally, and we want one of them. The only place that really matters is that we're taking this 1 out of the 12. So it's 1/3 of 1/4, which gives you 1/12. Very different answer, okay, than the 3/4. This is a lot more. Okay, next one. Half of Isla's workspace is covered in paper. 1/3 of the paper is covered in yellow sticky notes. What fraction of Isla's workspace is covered in yellow sticky notes? Draw a picture. Draw a picture. This is our model. So let's make her workspace as a fraction model and take half of it, and we've got paper, and then the other half is sticky notes. So we've got paper and then sticky notes. Okay, so Sometimes it'll say what is covered in paper. Sometimes it's what is sticky notes. Sometimes it's what is not, what is left. So really be careful when you read these. Sometimes I blow through them too fast and I mess it up, but that's all right. That's just normal. Oh, look at that. Half of her space is covered in paper. 1/3 of the paper is covered in yellow sticky notes. Okay, so we're going to take half of it's in paper. 1/3 of that. 1/3 is in the C. I was talking about reading it carefully, messed it up. That's pretty typical for a Tuesday. So sticky notes are 1/3 of the paper. So we've got 1/3 of 1/2. And so the whole thing, what fraction of the workspace, this whole thing is the workspace. That would be helpful if I label that whole thing. And that means 1/6 of the workspace is covered in sticky notes. There you go. So there's your picture, sticky notes, paper, workspace. Moving right along. Our marching band is rehearsing in rectangular formation. 1/5 of the marching band members play percussion. Oh, I bet that sounds awesome. 1/2 of the percussionists play the snare drum. What fraction of all the band members play the snare drum? So we're going to make a model. Hopefully my pencil lead will hold out. And we have 1/5 of the band members play percussion. 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the band. This is the percussion. And then we have half the percussionists play the snare drum. Now you can continue that and go like that. So we have our crisscross, and it's going to be half of a fifth. 1/10 of the band members play snare. Awesome. Okay, so you can see that right here in the double crisscross. And again, let me put some orange up here so you guys can see that and it stands out. Last one. Huzzah! Marie is designing a bedspread for her grandson's new bedroom. 2/3 of the bedspread is covered in race cars and the rest is striped. Oh, this is one where we have to be really careful. I need to be very careful. 1/4 of the stripes are red. What fraction of the bedspread is covered in red stripes? So let's make a model and be very careful about how we label it. Marie is designing a bedspread. 2/3 of the bedspread is covered in race cars and the rest is striped. 2/3 race cars, the rest is striped. Okay, so we've got our two sections, but what do we need? Rest is striped. 1/4 of the stripes are red. 1/4 of the stripes are red. Okay, so what fraction of the bedspread is covered in red stripes? So we want the stripe section and we only want red. 1/4. And so make your, again, we're not using the 2/3 here. Okay, this is where it's going to throw you off because you guys might say, well, look, I'm just going to multiply away. Take the numbers and multiply them. Don't take the numbers and multiply them. Think about what you're making. So it's not 2/3, it's 1/3. 1/3 is striped. 2/3 is race cars. We don't care about the race car part. We want the red striped section. So it's going to be 1/4. I should probably flip that around. 1/4 of 1/3. Okay. And again, you'll get the same answer like I said, but really we're taking 1/4 of 1/3. And so 1/12 of the bedspread is covered or is in red stripes. So sloppy, and I don't even care. There we go. So yay, again, super awesome, fun lesson. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like it, subscribe. Yay, see you on the next one.